Rebecca and I are here today from the IRM's Charity Special Interest Group to discuss getting better at risk management. Some of you may have seen the Getting Started materials we published back in 2015. Indeed, some of you probably have got started and may now be a bit worried about the prospect of having to get better. Rebecca, perhaps you could tell us why you think we all need to get better.
Well, don't get me wrong, getting started is of course okay, and it's certainly better than doing nothing. But if you're going to be really successful at risk management, it does need to be embedded across the organisation because, as we've said before, everyone has a part to play in risk management. And you might also need to get to grips with some of the more complex areas of risk management, such as setting your risk appetite. So, although getting started is a good thing, getting better is better. And that's why we've put together some new guidance to help charities do just that.
Okay, and I suppose embedding risk management can be quite tricky. Staff turnover at many charities is quite high, so you've always got new people coming in that need to know about risk management. And very often charities don't have the luxury of a large team of people just working on risk who can do all this embedding.
Exactly, and when you add to that the sheer volume of guidance and standards there are around most risk management topics, it really can be difficult to know where to start in terms of adopting more complex thinking, especially as this is an area where, unfortunately, incomprehensible jargon is rife.
So tell us about the new guidance we've issued.
Well, we've developed a simple risk maturity framework that is designed to help charities identify how good they are at risk management and where they need to improve. And it should help them use their limited resources to focus on key areas rather than feeling they have to meet every requirement in every risk standard all at the same time.
There are quite a few risk maturity frameworks out there already, aren't there? Why do we need yet another one?
Well, yes, you'll find all sorts out there, but they can be pretty complex with pages and pages of criteria to assess against, and in my experience they can be a right pain, but they can help lead to some improvements. But when all of us are so busy, we really need something that's simple to use, easy to understand, and that can help us to plan improvements and take action. So yeah, what we've done is nothing new, but we hope this will help the charity sector. We've reviewed all sorts of materials about what good risk management looks like, and we've put that all together in a one-page risk maturity framework. And that sets out 4 levels of competence, what this might look like in terms of knowledge and skills, behaviours or attitudes to risk, and the systems and processes that might be in place.
So how should we use the framework, Rebecca?
Well, hopefully you'll agree it's quite simple. Literally, you just take a highlighter pen and mark up where you think you are now, and it could be a mix across the framework. So you could be conscious in some areas, proficient in others, as you can see from the extract on this slide.
Okay, well that certainly sounds easy enough.
And then you look at where you want to be. So perhaps take another coloured pen, and remember, we don't all need to be expert. It can be tempting to think that, we need to be the best possible at everything, but proficient is probably fine for most of us.
So is this something you think risk managers should be doing themselves, or is this something for trustees to do?
That's a good question. I think you could do this in several ways, depending on the size of your charity. So for small charities where the trustees are very hands-on, they may well benefit from doing the exercise themselves. But where the trustees delegate most of the day-to-day work to the executive, I'd probably suggest keeping it more in-house, so to speak. And there are 3 ways that you can do it, that I thought of anyway. So you can do it yourself as the risk manager or person who's responsible for risk management anyway. Do it with your executive team to look at it across the organisation. But you can also do it by team, and that's quite useful because you can learn from those teams who are doing it well already, because some of them, you will find that some departments are better than others.
It sounds just the sort of thing to add into a strategy day to me. So once you've done all the highlighting, what happens next?
Well, When you've identified where you are and where you want to be, you can develop a plan to get there, focusing on and prioritising the areas that you really need to work on. And here's an example that I put together a few years ago. But remember to add realistic timings, which I seem to have completely forgotten about here. Risk improvement is not something that's going to change overnight, especially if culture is an issue.
Yeah, a lot of charities are already very stretched. Do you think they'll have the time and resources to bring about what could be some quite significant changes if they're to improve risk management?
Well, hopefully the descriptions of the various levels will help people see the benefits that improvement could bring about. But I completely agree that all of this needs to be done without just increasing the burden. So my advice would be to try to use existing processes if you can, and that helps because then risk won't be seen as an isolated or perhaps optional discipline. So for example, if you already have a management development programme, see if you can add a risk element to that rather than organising something completely separate. And use existing communications channels as you're spreading the word. Don't try and set up some risk newsletter or something like that. And a key thing to note as well is that if you're okay with where you are in a particular area of risk management, then you really don't need to do any more.
Yeah, that sounds all very sensible. Thank you, Rebecca. I think I might go back to the office now and have a go at this myself. It looks fun and useful all at once. So that's all for today, but we'll be back soon with a session about setting your risk appetite. So look out for that, and thanks for listening today.